Hey, all my Capricorn friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Terry Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your May 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Capricorn, I'm talking about Capricorn rising. This is also applicable to Capricorn moon and Capricorn sun. And if you have 3 or more personal planets in the sign of Capricorn, this video is applicable to you. When I refer to a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone. So please adjust for your location. Let's jump in because you know, there's a continuation going on from what I think is April's energy, but also March. We've been seeing a concentration of energies the beginning of the year in Pisces and now Aries and Taurus, with the grand conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus taking place last month in your 5th house. This is very significant because the 1st, the 5th, and the 9th houses are called Dharma houses, and they represent rewards that are given to you for good deeds done, basically a soul's imprint. I also wanted to mention that real quickly that the wheel, I cannot put it on Capricorn rising, so I'm mentioning the houses verbally. Right now, here's the Capricorn energy. This is technically the 1st house in your chart, and the Taurus energy up here is the 5th house. This conjunction is still going on as we start the month of May with with Jupiter preparing to go into later degrees of Taurus before at the end of the month moving into Gemini, which is your 6th house of work. So I think this is going to be very powerful for you in the respect of allowing yourself to start to reflect on what is most important to you. We see, let me click on Pluto. Pluto is currently in your 2nd house of money, of your personal skills, of resources. And here with a 2nd house Aquarius, we're seeing a real unique and individualistic way of viewing how to make money, how to create something solid and stable, and through disciplined action, there is benefit. You co-rule, Saturn co-rules Aquarius. So while Aquarius is always focused on the future, wanting to create a secure dynamic financially for your future, there's still this energy of hard work and discipline and focus that'll be required. We see that as Pluto is stationing retrograde on the 1st, it is making a square to Venus in your 5th house. Venus naturally rules Taurus. Venus also rules money. So to me, this square could very well be a sense of your personal history coming through. You could potentially have trepidations about your skills and your talents. And yet at the same time, I feel that there is a strong pull to move your story forward and trust a deeper inner knowing. And that would very much be the deep dive that Pluto is doing in your 2nd house. Will you embrace your unique perspectives, your forward thinking? We go to the 2nd here. Let me click off of Pluto real quick. We go to the 2nd here, and we see that Pluto has now gone retrograde. Pluto has been and will be in a sextile for 10 years plus with Neptune. And right now, Mars, while it has just entered its rulership the day before, it is still in a very tight conversation with Neptune, making a very favorable aspect to its partner in rulership of Scorpio, Pluto. I hope that wasn't too wordy for you. Pluto and Mars both rule Scorpio, so there's a cooperative component to their energy. Right now, Mars is in its rulership of Aries, making a sextile to Pluto, making me feel brave about digging deep into whatever my belief system is about my ability to make money, my unique approaches, the stepping outside the box and sort of breaking the box of conformity, which is something that Capricorn doesn't really do. But with this second house being Aquarius, and Pluto is going to retrograde back into your first house at the 29th degree, allowing you the privilege of kind of cleaning out the cobwebs of your belief system. We still see that Pluto is in a square to Venus, but this to me, again, is this tense moment asking myself to define what is important to me in the way of my possessions, in the way of using my own creativity, in my ability to be disciplined and tenacious, and in many ways, not taking no for an answer. So I'm just going to soldier through whatever fears I have. I think that's what's coming up. We see Mercury on this second day of May is now moved a little bit away from the North Node, but the thoughts of creating a sustainable home life. This is your fourth house, Aries, about being brave about what you want for your own home, the things that you want to express as an individual within your the fourth house not only rules the family, the home, it also rules nurturing and how well we nurture ourselves. And here, while there's always a square between the first and the fourth house, it is another square that is offering you an opportunity to define yourself beyond your history, beyond what is expected of you in the way of being a dutiful and responsible human. And I think both can be achieved. And this is what Pluto has been offering Capricorn as it spent, the last decade plus. I entered Capricorn in 2008. So this has been breaking up these old structures that don't support a bigger version of ourselves. I also want to comment that as Pluto retrogrades, we see that this South Node in Libra, and Libra is going to be your 10th house, is creating a little bit of a challenge for you, a blind side to your ruling planet Saturn in Pisces, which is your third house of how you think, how you speak, your communications, your everyday errands, running to the market, running your kids to school, doing your emails. There's a bit of a blind spot, I like to say. And at this time, the sun is also making a blind spot. So the sun represents our ambition, represents our ego drive. And while this is, you are not a Taurus sun, you have a cooperative earth energy. So there could be a blind spot to how you are cooperative with others, how you perceive other people will view you in the public eye, your sense of cooperation and creating harmony for others. And yet there's a strong pull to individualize within how you want your baseline to be. Home is where the heart is, right? And here the home is in a place where I want to be brave and individualistic, and in many ways assert myself out into the world for my version of things. And if indeed that hasn't happened, then it can create tension and anger and anxiety in that environment. But I believe that overall we're seeing more favorable aspects between transformational Pluto, because the second house also rules your sense of self. And here, while again, we're still feeling the square to Venus, we see sextile here between Uranus, Jupiter, and Neptune. Neptune, by the end of the month, is going to move to the 29th degree. And this is the anaretic degree where there's a mastering. I mean, we're feeling it already. And Jupiter and Venus at the end of the month are going to do the same thing. So what we're going to see is a theme between the slow moving planets of Neptune and Pluto that are working in cooperation with some of the faster moving planets to create a long-term change about how we view and feel about ourselves as individuals, and how that truly contributes to the collective versus being in a dutiful energy that inadvertently makes us feel homogenized. That's what I want to say. Actually, I spoke, this Neptune is moving, look, it's a 58 minutes. So this very next day, Neptune is at the anaretic degree. Now, this conversation that Neptune is having with Mars is that of the Knights of the Round Table. It's about using the divine laws of the universe, which other people may not understand. They may be like, wait a minute, Capricorn, I'm used to you going out there and pounding the pavement where I can, in the material world, realistically see your efforts. And here you're transforming. Here you're starting, your ruling planet is really shifting the way you think, the way you view things, what you're learning about how the universe works, and then creating almost structure based on that concept. So here Saturn is really starting to understand the be, do, have. What is my belief while I walk into a situation? And initially that may create tension. Again, we see Venus is still in a square to Pluto, and the blindsiding quincunxes from the sun and Saturn to the south node could have you feel fear about how people will perceive this new version of you, or this renovated version of you, or the continued evolution of you choosing a path that's more aligned to your truth versus what others expect and want from you. Let's move to the 7th, where we're going to see a new moon in Taurus at the 18th degree, which is the Virgo degree. It's bringing a lot of earth energy here. That's at 8:21 p.m. Pacific time. And again, we see your 5th house being lit up here, planting the seeds for something new and exciting, something that you can actually use your skills, your desires, or your talents. I love the way that this trine to Jupiter and Pluto work together. It feels very much as if I'm expanding my belief system. I'm expanding the belief I have in myself to be able to build the things that I want to have to secure my peace of mind moving forward. You know, when someone has money in the bank, it makes it easier for them to feel the broadening of their life path. When we're chasing paying our bills, or we feel pinched financially, the rest of our world feels pinched. And this is very, with your 1st house Capricorn, your 5th house is Taurus, and then we're going to see your oh, let me think, because I didn't write down. It has to be your 11th house. Oh, here. No, this is Virgo right now. 11. If this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. Thank you very much for pairing with me. Your belief system is shifting, and there's a reward for all of that being offered to you. And I believe that's reflected in this focal point, with Neptune being the focal point of the sextile here of Jupiter and the sextile of Pluto, and they're making this complementary dynamic. At the same time that we're looking at this new moon, the new moon is where we're planting the seeds in faith, in the darkest phase of the moon, for something that might not feel realistic to others, because here we see Chiron and Mercury at the exact 21st degree meeting together for the 3rd time. They met during retrograde, well, when Mercury first passed through, then in the retrograde, and now moving forward again. This is the transformation of the wound into the gift. This is where we understand and start to realize that without contrasting experiences, sometimes we don't feel the motivation to push through something or to endure something. And Capricorn is very good at enduring, but here now I think you're enduring more of a public eye, where people are saying, wait a minute, we're used to you showing this kind of leadership or demonstrating this kind of discipline. Almost like, Capricorn could work itself to death, kind of, in some respects, kind of out of fear. And that, as you shift away from fear and into a more co-creative situation, which is reflected here in your 4th house with the North Node wanting to individualize and really sort of calibrate any wounds you might have within the home environment and how you were perceived there and how you felt loved there. This is really going to be very beneficial moving forward. So the little bit of a challenge is to be able to have that faith that as you plant these new seeds, these intentions, that they will continue to thrive. We also see Venus is now at the 10th degree, which is the Capricorn degree in the sign of her rulership. So here she's pulled away from this square with Pluto, and she's starting to feel, okay, I understand a little bit more that fear serves me sometimes. That fear, while I don't really enjoy it all the time, it's a natural and necessary energy to feel empowerment, to feel exhilaration, to feel the triumph that we want as humans. And that's part of our co-creative process. Let's go to the 15th. I'm going to move this back to 12 o'clock. And on the 15th of May, we will see Mercury move into Taurus. And here we see this continuation of this trine from retrograding Pluto up to these planets. Technically, Venus isn't quite in the mix here, but the Sun and Jupiter absolutely are. And this is where we're starting to feel this real sense of I'm ready to birth this part of me that maybe I never have before as we're moving into your 6th house of Gemini. And this is very powerful because that Gemini feels as if you can engage your community through your new ways of thinking, through your new ways of speaking. And it is not as if you have abandoned the old self. It is more of representation of an integration of new concepts and new principles that you're bringing this information to your community. It's really, I'm kind of excited. And I also, well, no, I'm not. I'm very excited. And I know that it's a disruptive time, but this is Mercury here in Taurus is going to bring more ideas about how expressive you can be, how great it is to feel unique, and potentially even bring out a bit of a teacher within you. I don't know why I want to put it that way, but that's how it's kind of coming across. And I think you might be teaching people through their experience of you. We see on the 20th that the Sun is going to move into Gemini. And we continue this trine, this very, very favorable trine. I'm not going to address this moon here right now because this is a very fleeting moment, but I will go back to the South Node, which continues to create a challenge because the challenge is going to be if you can endure other people thinking maybe that you're being selfish or you're being cold or you're being uncaring. But I think that's a necessary evil to what the bigger picture is and what the bigger picture of what Capricorn can see for themselves. Because now we see that in the house of money, Taurus, in your 5th house of self-expression, the sign Venus rules money, Jupiter rules money, Venus rules my skills, Jupiter rules business, publishing, branding, marketing, and of course, foreign places, foreign people. There's so many elements to it. But here we're seeing a focus on money in a house of money. In Capricorn, the sign of the builder, meaning you're a Capricorn. So it's pretty fun stuff. And here, fun in the respect that this feels like exciting times. It feels like, you could be birthing something on the internet or through some sort of technological process, an Etsy account or even potentially investing in things, and you're trusting your gut instead of the numbers now, and it's paying off. We do see a little bit of a challenge here with Mercury making a very loose square. But so for about the last 5 days, we've been seeing Mercury in a challenging dynamic to Pluto. But this is kind of Pluto trying to break up any small-minded thoughts that might be haunting you or might be cropping up, because Taurus also rules our family history, traditionally in the 2nd house. Now we're going to go to the full moon in Sagittarius, which is on the 23rd. That's going to be at 6:53 a.m. And this is really, I think, so this illumination does not feel like an ending, but it feels like a beginning. I know full moons usually represent sort of a culmination of a cycle, but I think this might be the culmination of a cycle of disempowerment or of feeling unsure. And now I feel a little bit more, we've got an exact trine from the sun to Pluto. We've got an exact sextile to Pluto at the Venusian degree, the Taurian degree. We have Venus and Jupiter at 29 degrees, the anaretic degree of Taurus. The 29 reduces down to an 11. The 11 is the master number of thought. We see that these two planets are in an exact sextile to Neptune. So I'm thinking from my spiritual principles, my spiritual practices, my be, do, have, engaging the universe to inspire my actions versus to be overly diligent in my physical body and working. We also see now that Mercury is at 11 degrees. Now, while it's not making any aspects to this full moon, I find a theme here. I feel as if there's a theme of broadening my way of thinking. And I also want to point out that there's some very significant points that take place within the Sagittarian energy. So as we move throughout this day, there could be the moon may trigger certain thoughts, inspired thoughts that attract things in that will initially potentially create doubt or trepidation. But if you walk through it, trusting your gut instinct, I think that Capricorn is going to find a whole new level of building a more aligned future for yourself, things that come from your heart that also bring money and financial resources to you. Think that's how that's going to play out, because having your Aquarius be your second house and having Pluto transiting your second house of money, it's going to be an opportunity for you to really kind of, reach for the stars, Aquarius, and trust that the coming chapters can bring you bounty beyond what you can see with your eyes right now. We're going to see later on in this day, Venus is actually going to move. I'm going to go to 6 p.m. She's going to move into Gemini. And she's quite curious here. She's very curious and social. Oh my goodness, so social. Also, we're going to see in 2 days or so, Jupiter's going to join in Venus and the Sun in Gemini for the next year. And again, Gemini is your 6th house of work, offering expansion for within your community, for the way that you think, the way that you're showing up, the way that you speak. I think, again, I'm going to accentuate the idea that people are learning from you by the way that you're shifting, and that's becoming something that's visible to the outside world. And initially, people who know you for a long time may be like, hey, what's up, man? I've never seen you be like this before. And at the same time, I feel like you're going to be like, oh my goodness, things are really starting to fire on all cylinders for me because I have this awareness now. And this awareness, coupled with my tenacity and my discipline and my willingness to endure, is really shifting and changing my life. I think that's very true. Let's go back to 12 o'clock. And we're going to go another week into the end of the month. And we see here that now Jupiter's, completely in. I think Jupiter is going to, I'm not sure when Jupiter retrogrades, a little later this year, but Jupiter, I wanted to mention this. Jupiter is considered in detriment in Gemini because Jupiter is so expansive and broad, and Gemini likes these little short bits of information. But here I feel that the planets in their evolution, this is where I think that Jupiter can see the bigger picture of what can happen in your everyday work life, and it's offering you an expansion and collaborations with other people. When Jupiter moves into your 7th house of partnerships, holy scamoli, Jupiter will be exalted there. So the year that you put in building your new career or your side hustle or a renovated version of you will very much serve you. Now, this last day of the month also kind of contains a bit of a challenge here. It's not quite the last day of the month. There's 31 days in May. But we see that Chiron and Mars are both at the 22nd degree. This is a challenging degree, and it could very much stoke a wound. It's as if you're flying high and you're excited, and then somebody out of nowhere makes a comment that kind of zings you back into a story that you no longer want to live. And it may have something to do with your home, your environment, even somebody could criticize you because they're saying you're taking care of yourself now instead of taking care of other people. And what Capricorn gets to know is the more you take care of yourself, the more strength you have to take care of other people. So just be slightly mindful here. We can see there's a conjunction between Mercury and Uranus, unexpected comments about your creativity, about what you're building. So sometimes Jerry Hicks used to always say that, when you're starting to manifest something, don't tell anybody about it, because people can be dream killers. And Capricorn can be susceptible to fear and to the history, what happens, what's been happening historically. So here, this sort of keeping things to yourself while you're getting your roots in might not be such a bad idea, because I think June is going to be an exciting time for you. And, moving forward in the year, there's a real opportunity for expansion within your everyday life. Even your health could get better because you're starting to follow the things that feel good to you versus making sure you get all your chores done before you engage in any pleasurable acts. All right, that is it for me for May, from my Capricorns. Again, my name is Terry Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. If you'd like to book a reading with me, my information is below in the description. I'm also available for intuitive readings, card readings. And please subscribe, please share, and I'll be back in June with your June monthly. Have a great May, Capricorn. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.